I think people are letting their imaginations get the better of them, thinking that this is causing massive crime, drug problems, and things like that, which I don't think
it is, yeah.
They need to get their head checked.
You know what 2% is of 10 million people?
10,000?
What do you think? Would Kamala Harris fix the border crisis?
I do not.
No, you don't think so?
No.
No, they haven't done anything in the last 4 years.
Who do you think is going to crack down on illegal immigration more? Do you see Kamala or Donald Trump?
I would say Donald Trump, yeah.
Clearly Trump is going to fix that issue, not Harris.
Thoughts on Kamala?
Because socialism, and it's going to lead America to Europe right now, how Europe is.
Well, you just look at the report that was released this week as far as how many criminals have come into the country in terms of
The ICE report you're talking about?
report with murderers and folks with criminal records over the last number of years. How that number has just increased. If they really wanted to fix it, they would have addressed it by now.
Well, she fixed it during her term, didn't she?
She did the best job.
That's right, exactly. The best of. No, she can't fix anything, I don't think. So that's my feeling.
But you're just not sold on the idea of a border wall, but you do think Donald Trump would be more effective with cracking down on the border. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Are you leaning towards Kamala Harris when it comes to getting that under control? Donald Trump's talking about deportations. Which route do you think is better?
Probably Kamala Harris.
I trust that she'll do more what she says she's going to do than I trust that Trump will do what he says he's going to do.
Deportations cost a lot of money, too. The border wall costs a lot of money.
Do one of those have a track record on cracking down on illegal immigrants? A track record that is better than the other?
I know one of them has a track record of being a criminal and being prosecuted for several things.
You could deport every single illegal immigrant in the United States using like private jets for less than what they're costing taxpayers each year. Do you think that that's a good deal?
You're splitting up families. You're splitting up families. Where do you draw the line?
You look at that and you say it's not sustainable.
It's going to fundamentally, and it has. I think the damage is going to take years. You look at Trump. Trump has got his own issues. I'm not a Trump fan by any means, but you ask me, who will do the border better? Facts have us stubborn things. It was much better control when Trump was in power. Remain in Mexico. I mean, again, you look at the facts instead of all the bullshit that's being said, including by the Trump camp.
You would think that Donald Trump would be in support of the bill that they were trying to pass, which a lot of conservative Republicans were pushing to get passed.
Who is a conservative Republican that's pushing to pass that Senate bill that you're talking about right there?
I don't know exactly the names. I'm not that involved. But there
was
several.
It's not a bipartisan bill. There was one senator that supported that.
It's not a bipartisan bill?
No, that was not a bipartisan bill.
I don't know if I believe you.
Yeah.
There was more than one. Yeah. There was more than
one senator? No, that's not true.
There was more than one conservative Republican that was in support of that bill.
There was a couple in the House, or a few in the House, but the reason why they were supporting any idea of it is because they were supporting because they just wanted to do something, so they were debating it. Unlike the H.R. 2 bill, which was an entire year before that no Democrats debated at all, which would have actually fixed the issue.
So if you really want to talk about policy, let's talk about why he killed it, for political reasons, for his gain, and then that forced Biden to issue an executive order, which has been pretty effective.
Right. So that border, that bill that you're talking about, it's the Senate Bill 2024. So if we're talking about that, before I address that, because that actually didn't shut down the border, it still let in well over 1 million people a year, but and that would have codified it in law, saying that that's okay. But before we jump into that, right? What is the excuse for the last 3.5 years before that?
Look, I think they've been trying to work on a good immigration bill during the previous 3 years.
The problem with the Senate bill that you're talking about is it didn't stop illegal immigration. It did absolutely nothing except for codify the fact that we're okay with up to 1.8 million illegal crossings per year until until any enforcement steps took
you have
place.
a lot of facts. So why are you interviewing people if you just know what you want to say and know what you want to do? I mean, why are you even getting other people's opinion? Does
Well,
it even matter?
I'm just telling you the facts of that situation.
You're telling me what you know of, but you can be on camera by yourself doing that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm literally just telling you the facts of that situation. If the Senate bill is the argument, right? Why didn't they do anything the last 3.5 years? Why wait until 3.5 years in to address anything?
In the past 25 years.
Well, things were. All right, you guys, it's been over 3 years since I've done this. A new line of Klug merch is officially here for a limited time only. And there's something for everyone. The America First tee, the JK microphone tee, the Donald Doom tee, personal favorite of mine, and more. You guys, all of these shirts are made here in the USA. Oh, and of course, the JK snapbacks I've been wearing in my videos lately are for sale now too, and come in camo or black. By the way, these are super limited and are going to sell out quick, and if they don't, well, that's just pretty embarrassing. You guys support the channel by picking up a shirt or hat today. Sales end on the 25th. Stock is limited, so don't wait. All right, let's get back in this video. Really quick. Are you familiar with HR 2? Because you brought up the Senate bill in 2024.
Not in detail.
You're not familiar with HR 2.
Not in
It happened 1 year before, and it was completely shut down, dead on Chuck Schumer's desk. It would have just simply reinstated the policies that were working under the Trump administration.
I know that it was. There was a bipartisan bill 6 months ago that was ready to be passed. Conservative Republicans agreed to it. Democrats, liberals agreed to it. They were ready to do it.
7 conservatives.
Okay, but it was bipartisan. There were Republicans on board, and Trump shut it down. He wouldn't let Speaker Johnson bring it to the House. At all.
If we can go over the timeline really quick right there.
You
have Biden that wouldn't negotiate actually before that, and then Trump shut down negotiations fully. But the border, that bill wouldn't have shut down the border. That's why it would have allowed in 1.8 million illegal immigrants before any enforcement took place.
Would have hired 1,500 more border agents
for
enforcement. It would have. I don't know the details.
I'm talking about the bill. It would have, had it been passed, provided more immigration people, right? The guys that protect the border would have allowed
judges to help facilitate more crossings.
No, actually, judges to prosecute more illegal crossings. It would have provided more money towards them being able to do their job, which would have slowed down, illegal immigration.
It didn't fix the border crisis, though. Is what you're talking about.
It didn't pass.
What was in it still allowed illegals to come into the United States, and up to 1.8 million until they had any crackdown on it.
It would have allowed illegal border crossing. No one's really allowing illegal. If they catch them, it's illegal. They get prosecuted.
Well, I got a question for you. If that is your reason, why did they do nothing the 3.5 years before that?
I wouldn't say they did nothing, but they didn't do what Trump was doing.
A major argument that I am hearing is that this border crisis is the fault of Donald Trump and Republicans not going after the Senate bill earlier this year. What do you think about that?
Facts have a stubborn thing. That was 6 months ago. It was a bull Senate bill. It allowed in 5,000 people either a week or a day. I don't know. I haven't studied up
a day.
Good
memory.
Something crazy. And it failed not because of Trump, but because the senators realized it was nonsense. And Langford, Langford gave the Biden-Harris administration, who are fundamentally open border, a talking point, and they're using it and lying through their teeth, but they're using it to kind of suggest that the real problem is the failure of that bill, which is just, again, nonsense, factually unsupported.
You mentioned that they did some stuff the first 3.5 years. What is it? Because the messaging from the Biden administration was that there was no border crisis. Kamala Harris said that herself in 2022, but they said it multiple times. Mayorkas said that as well. So what did they do the first 3.5 years to crack down on illegal immigration?
I'm not as sure of the details of what they did, but what I am sure of is from here forward, we have plans in place.
Let me just say really quick, they didn't have they had to remain in Mexico, to where you didn't just have catch and release, to where people come across the border illegally and just letting them into the country unvetted. That's what we've been seeing under this administration. We have no clue who these people are. You have some, for sure, good people, but you have people that are convicted murderers that are coming into the country. You have people that are convicted rapists that are coming into the country.
That's a small percentage considering the ones that are coming.
What percentage do you think?
Probably like less than 2.
Less than 2? You know what 2% is of 10 million people?
10,000.
Do you feel bad for the Americans that are, having to deal with the opiate crisis with all the drugs that are coming over the southern border?
Yeah, I do.
What do you think about the disadvantaged communities in the United States that are having to shift funding to handle illegal immigrants coming into their communities that are struggling already? Do you feel bad for Americans that are struggling, that are getting their funding taken away?
Yeah, I feel bad for that. But yeah, I feel bad for that. But again, it's a matter of budgeting and organizing.
Do you think our government has a priority when it comes to taking care of American citizens first before foreigners?
They should. They should do that. But I don't feel like the government has done a good enough job.
But you would support going in that direction, is that correct?
Where the government takes good care of the Americans.
Prioritizes them.
Yeah, everyone should prioritize their citizens. You prioritize your family, and then you reach out to your neighbors. If you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of your neighbors?
You're bringing up this bill, but there was a bill 1 year before that actually reinstated policy that was proven to work, and Democrats didn't negotiate that at all. It died on Chuck Schumer's
I didn't believe in
death.
separating children from their parents. That's what happened during the Trump administration.
Yeah. That wasn't his policy, though.
He separated small children from their families, and many of them actually got lost they couldn't reconnect to their mothers and fathers.
Right.
There were hundreds of them, I believe, if I recall
Hundreds.
correct. I believe so.
During this current border crisis that that's okay. We don't have to call it a border crisis, but there are over 300,000 children unaccounted for right now that came to the country illegally under this current administration, that came in under this current administration. That's another reason why people would consider it a crisis.
Yeah, that's
so you say a couple
problem.
hundred, you say
That's
hundreds, that's hundreds of thousands that have gone
This
missing.
was intentional families intentionally being broken up.
Yeah.
What you're saying is a different thing. It's parents
way bigger.
Probably sending in their kids for a better life, maybe to reconnect with family who are already in the United States because they're desperate. They're extremely poor. These people are very poor. They have nothing. They have nothing. Okay, and
You're talking about hundreds of thousands of children that the United States government has lost track of.
I don't know where you're getting this figure.
You can check it out.
I've never heard that.
Yeah,
but
I encourage you to look it up.
I'm saying that we're a very wealthy nation of 330 million, and I think we can absorb 1 million people a year. Let's say 1 million people a year. That's only a third of 1%. It's as if you had.
That's even lower than the bill that you're talking about, the Senate bill in 2024 this year. That's lower than. That's higher than Trump or Obama was seeing when it comes to illegal crossings.
We can absorb 1 million.
But why don't we absorb people that are coming in legally?
We should also. We should, but there are far fewer coming in legally because the system isn't working. You know, it's like, let's say you had a room.
We still grant 1 million green cards a year. It's a decent number.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think people are letting their imaginations get the better of them, thinking that this is causing massive crime, drug problems, and things like that, which I don't think
it is. Yeah.
I don't think it is. I disagree.
Well,
I don't see it happening.
Largest gang in California, 18th Street gang, is like 80% illegal immigrants.
Well, I mean, how many people are in that gang? A couple hundred kids? You have to look.
Try tens of thousands of people.
We're a country of 330 tens of thousands. Okay.
I don't think it's that high. I think out of tens of millions of people, you say convicted murderers. How many do you think are over? How many do you think?
Well, ICE just released a figure showing that they have on their record, the number has increased. But on their record, they have about over 13,000 convicted murderers that are in the United States right now that came in illegally. They came to the border. They were let into the country. Rapists, about 15,000 plus, came to the border, let into the country.
They came to the border and were
is that
in the country like,
that's correct.
Come on in.
Well, we don't know who they are, so yes, of course.
Well, how do you know that fact, though? If you don't know who they are, then how do you know that fact?
Well, they have their own ways of tracking. ICE has a way of tracking who, because they still take record of like who's coming across, but they aren't able to piece all of that together on the spot. So ICE
not
looks for
solid
these
enough
people.
for me. It's just, that's very vague.
Well, it's Biden and Harris's ICE deputy director that said this. So
That's vague.
All these things are easy to check.
Yes, they are.
I'm not going to do it right now.
No.
Because we were supposed to have
Sunday.
a short conversation.
Hey, I'm enjoying this. It's a beautiful Sunday. No, I'm not going to, you don't need to look it up right now, but I do encourage you to do that. I mean, I hear what you're saying. A lot of these people are really good people. But when you have 10 million people coming into the country illegally under, 3.5 years under this administration, and they're completely unvetted, majority are from Venezuela.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna have criminals coming in, and you do. Say that to Laken Riley's family. She was murdered.
Probably, I'm guessing, it's just a guess.
Yeah, no.
I'm guessing 99% of the people coming in are not criminals.
Right.
99%. Maybe 1% are. Something like that is what I'm guessing. It's like let's say you have a room.
So you're okay with thousands of criminals coming into the country?
I'm okay with...
Even if it's just 1%, it's a pretty big number, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like if you have 1 million coming in, it's 10,000. In a country of 330 million, it's minuscule.
Most of the terrorist acts and the murders and the stuff that happens in this country are people that are born and raised in this country.
Most of the crime is not committed by illegal immigrants in this country.
Oh,
So-
well, how could it be? They're not the majority.
Yeah.
They're not the biggest population.
So-
They are disproportionately represented in federal drug crimes, a bunch of crimes across the United States. They do have a disproportionate representation in there. But you're right. I mean, it would be crazy to say that the overwhelming majority aren't just amazing people looking for a better life. But we're talking about a country of law and order, and we have rules, and you can't just break in because you want to.
Yeah.
I don't understand the argument. The argument's, okay, so don't crack down on illegal immigration?
No, what I'm saying is we want to make a big deal out of, you want to say that people are coming over and they're convicted murderers and all of that in this country, but the crime that happens in this country are people that are from this country. That's what actually happens. The murders that actually happen and the terrorists that actually happen are people that were born and raised in this country.
You're talking about comparing that to crime that's not even supposed to exist in the country in the first place because they're here illegally.
I mean, I rarely hear about some immigrant that killed somebody.
What about Laken Riley? Did you hear about that?
I heard about that. That's one case, but I heard there was like several school shootings this year. Who was that? That was the guy.
Again, you're comparing American citizens. These are issues that the United States is taking care of. But you're shifting the argument to that to get away from talking about crime from people that are in the country illegally.
I care less about immigrants coming here, whether they're illegal or not, than I care about the ones that are here killing people.
Okay. We're talking about criminals that are entering the country. We're talking about murderers and rapists.
About whatever you want to call them, whatever label you want to put on them. I care less about them. I care less about them coming into this country and what they do when they get over here than I do about the ones that are here that are shooting up the schools.
Yeah. I mean, so essentially, it's okay. So we have crime here. Ignore the fact that we're adding more. I don't care about the fact that we're adding more.
I don't think we're adding more, so we're not going to get anywhere with this.
75% of arrests. 75% of arrests in Midtown Manhattan are illegal immigrants right now. 75%.
About the immigrants. This sums it all up, so I can keep moving on. I care less about the immigrants that are coming in this country, whether you say they're murderers or you pin whatever label you want to pin on them.
Not all of them. I'm saying that we're bringing them in because we don't know who they are.
Based on facts that you're getting from whatever
ICE.
Administration, ICE, whatever. I said I care less about them than I do about the ones that are in this country that are shooting up the schools.
Could you just care equally about criminals and murderers?
No, care less.
Huh,
I care really less about that. It's wild. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. So that's a wild position.
I'm sure.
I care about Americans equally. I don't care who is murdering them. If I can do something when it comes to crack down on not having somebody here in the first place, I'm going to support that.
Let's accept what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's say in an ideal world, we can build a beautiful border wall, and we can completely shut down the border, and we won't allow even a single illegal immigrant in. They'll all be
You would
legal.
have to do that with policy and with more than just a border wall. But okay,
in an
fine.
ideal world,
Okay,
we're
yeah.
going to do this.
Yeah.
We're going to shut it down.
Yeah.
What would happen? Think about it. What would happen? Probably our agricultural
Cartels would
industry,
probably lose a lot of money.
Yes, and so would our agricultural industry, and our hotel industry, and our restaurant industry, and all of these industries that depend on these
On
people
illegal immigration.
who are willing to work for a very low
Yeah.
wage. I don't see that, a lot of citizens of the United States would be willing to do these very backbreaking jobs. So,
Do you mind if I pause really quick right there?
Yeah.
Because I think that's an interesting point. One, I think it's an interesting argument to suggest that we need illegal immigration for almost like slave labor in the States.
it's not slave labor.
Low
They're
wage.
low wage.
Yeah, low wages.
They're getting a much better life.
I don't.
than
Yeah,
they had.
you're probably correct about that. But when it comes down to it, okay, if you travel outside of California, you don't have, you have Americans, all sorts of Americans in those industries that you're talking about. Americans can fill those positions. And if you go outside of California, a lot of it's that way. Maybe we're used to seeing some of this stuff in California because I grew up here. I am used to seeing that, right? Like chefs or people that are cooks inside restaurants.
Yeah.
They might be Hispanic. Maybe you're assuming that they're illegal. But
They're not
in other
necessarily
states,
illegal.
it's not that way, right?
Probably a
There's people
lot-
that are going to watch this that are like, I work in agriculture. You
No,
know?
I mean, I
see what I'm
see
saying?
that most of the crop pickers, call them, are not, are probably not legal citizens. Probably, I don't know. Probably not though. They're Hispanic. Probably many of them are illegal. It's a back-breaking,
Right.
very hard job.
You could still find legal immigrants that would want to do those jobs gladly. I don't see the connection of we need illegal immigration to pick crops.
Many of those people are probably illegal immigrants.
Right.
Many of those people
Right, but
who
you're
are
saying it wouldn't exist if we didn't have illegal immigration. I just don't know that would be the case. If they came legally, if somebody came legally and
I'm
they were in that
just
same
saying,
position,
if
why would they?
Most of those people are illegal immigrants. It just stands to reason that if you suddenly shut down illegal immigration, that industry is going to start to suffer because they're going to have attrition filling those jobs.
We'll have Americans filling those jobs.
Probably not. I don't think Americans are very spoiled
Are you
people.
talking about all those industries? You're talking about hotel industry. You're talking about.
I'm saying a lot of the jobs are filled by probably illegal immigrants.
A
that-
moment ago, you just said majority.
I don't know for sure. I'm not an expert.
No, I
You're
know.
interviewing me, but I don't know what I don't know all the facts and figures
I
off
don't
the
either.
top of my head.
I'm just clarifying your position.
I'm
You're saying a
just-
majority that work in that industry are illegal.
In certain positions, like maids, the low-income jobs. And that maybe sounds biased to me, but they probably don't have a lot of skills. That's why they're coming in. They can't find good jobs where they live, and so what can they do? They can be maids, cooks. They can work in the picking crops.
This is the connection that I'm not understanding. I'm not understanding the connection here, though. It's going to be the same people. If they do come legally, you'd still have them pursuing those positions. You're talking about 10. We're saying, oh, hey, 3 million that are coming into the country every single year under this administration.
Yeah.
We need to fill.
3 million is probably too many, but 1 million I think we could easily absorb. I think the number of legal immigrants. You said it's 1 million. I don't know.
Yeah, it hovers around that. So it'll be like
Okay.
800,000,
So
1.2.
that's-
It'll jump around.
I'm just guessing it's not enough to fill all the positions, because if it was, then there would be an excess of jobs. If you only needed 1 million people, but there are 4 million, 3 million coming in, all those people are getting work. Yeah. So if you suddenly cut it to 1/3 the number, it might create a problem.
Yeah, it certainly. I mean,
What
it's
is this for?
it's
Is this a podcast?
for YouTube. But I want to touch on one last thing because it does seem as though misplaced sympathy, in my view. It really does seem that way because we have all this sympathy for. Let's just talk about what's happening right now. unvetted mass migration that's coming in from all over the world. You don't know who these people are. What is it? 20 or so % are coming from Venezuela. Venezuelan government doesn't work with the United States when it comes to telling us who these people are. You have no clue who's coming into the country. You're letting them in anyways. This has resulted in all sorts of issues, but one, empowering the cartels down at the southern border, more drug trafficking, more human trafficking. And then when they come here, you're also talking about people that are coming here that are competing for low wages. Who does that disproportionately hurt? Not me and you. Not me and you.
So
people in inner cities. Oh, really quick.
Right now, stating
people
them
that
as
are,
if they're facts.
if you don't mind, people that are in inner city communities, they compete with low wage workers. So that drives down wages. You have all this sympathy for these people that are coming in illegally and unvetted, and it doesn't seem as though we have that much for American citizens. It seems that's what it seems like. It's misplaced sympathy.
You're stating things as if they were facts, and they're not.
Which part is not?
You stated that immigration from Venezuela is causing the cartels to be enriched.
No, I'm talking about overall.
More drug trafficking,
Yes, that's
human
correct as well.
trafficking. These are all. I don't think so.
Why do you not
You know,
think so?
how do you enrich the cartel if more people go out of Venezuela and into this country?
That's a great
How
question.
Are you doing that?
Do you mind if I answer it?
Yeah.
Great. So every single person that comes across the southern border has to pay a wage to smugglers. So the cartels get a piece of that pie for every single person that's coming across. The more people that are coming across, the more money they're making.
They're making that from smuggling, but not from drugs. So when you say
answer the
drug
drug part.
cartels, it's not really drug cartels.
So are
it's
we acknowledging what I'm
smugglers.
saying though, right there, when it comes to their smuggling
Maybe
making money?
It's smugglers are making money.
It's all all
Sure.
a part of the same.
Sure.
All those tentacles
These
are a part of the same
if you
octopus.
don't know what's happening in Venezuela right now, and I know you do, is there's a brutal dictator who just disrespected an election, by the way, and he's just crushing the country and the economy there. People are desperate and they're dirt poor and they want to get out.
Yeah, it's
so they're
horrifying
looking to the United States for a better life. And they are paying smugglers to get in, probably thousands of dollars per person.
If you'd like me to, I can address the drug part if you'd like. You want to?
How long are we going to talk?
Okay, 2 more minutes. I'll address the drug trafficking part really quick. So what you've seen with this crisis by every available metric is that what they do is they get a caravan together, whether it be a few hundred people, and I've been on the border, I've documented this stuff, and I have a bunch of friends that do this as well. So what they do is they get a caravan together, whether it be 100, 200, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 people, and they'll send them to overload whatever area that is. Like, you just don't have enough people to be handling that. So they send them to overload the resources over there, and what they do is they send in coyotes that are trafficking drugs in another area. So because the border is so porous, there's not a border wall, they can pretty much enter from a bunch of places, like probably a couple hundred miles you can easily walk across.
I think
they send a caravan for distractions. They get drug runners in there.
What you're saying.
That's how you end up with more drugs in the
picture.
country.
I think we agree.
Yeah.
We agree on the fundamentals that we need to control the border. I completely agree with you. I've said that already a few times.
Is Kamala the right person to get that under control?
It's just it's to what extent that we disagree.
Is Kamala the person to get that under control?
I think that she can. She did prosecute the drug smugglers as the Attorney General for California.
She also oversaw the worst border crisis in American history, the highest numbers in American history. So what do you think about that?
You can't blame it on one person.
She was the border czar.
It was a job that was impossible for her to really to succeed in. So
why is that? I mean they sued
because
they sued border states and prevented them from securing their own borders. They overturned policy that was working under the previous administrations. So why is it impossible?
You know, it's such a complex issue, you know, caused by basically massive poverty in Central America and Venezuela.
So they had to sue border states to stop them from protecting their borders?
That's a different issue. I don't know. Okay, that's probably just a piece of it. But I think that, for example, right now, as I said, Biden issued an executive order. It's cut the amount of illegal immigration in half right now, just that alone.
It's still really high, but yeah.
Which he had to do because Trump killed the bipartisan immigration bill.
Wait, really
Okay.
quick, really quick. If the assumption is that Joe Biden, signed an executive order, the border's under control right now.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that means that he did absolutely nothing his first 3.5 years, where he could have gotten it under control. Is that correct?
He was trying. I think he was trying to, but he was trying to get a bipartisan effort, and he finally got it about 6 months ago, and it was killed by Trump.
They were
They were working on a bipartisan deal.
If he was trying the past 3.5 years, they spent the last 3 years saying that there was no border crisis,
think,
similar to what you're saying. So how did they try to do that if they didn't acknowledge
the priority for the first year or two was for the country to get back on its feet from a massive pandemic that killed 1 million people, put 20 million people out of work, that shut down the economy.
Right?
So you want to talk about how we fix it?
Right? He's doing it now.
Right. I mean, there's still like 100,000 people coming in each month, but
I mean, it's the same numbers of people coming in now that it was 3 years ago.
Under Trump,
It's gotten down to where it's the same amount, right? What is it like?
I mean, the last 3.5 years they allowed
put
about
out the facts recently,
minimum
and I
12
was
million
watching-
people,
this
10 to
was-
12 million people
this
into the
was-
country. So
this was a
no administration's
Fox-
seen anything like this before.
was Fox News I was watching,
Yep.
and they were talking about the numbers, and they compared the numbers right now to the numbers 3 or 4 years ago, and they were the same.
You might just be talking about like 1 month comparing 1 month, but that's not the totality. Would you support something like, deporting the people that are in the country illegally, making sure that we're getting this generation to be at least better off than the previous generation, Gen Z struggling to afford housing, rent, all that stuff, and then also reducing the amount of Americans that are living in poverty? Would you support cleaning all of that up, getting our own house in order before bringing in millions of illegals?
Yeah, I would support that. But in
Look at this. We're gaining some ground here, right?
Yeah.
Joseph, do you mind if I get back to telling you how to fix it?
Actually, I gotta go.
Okay.
I gotta go.
Hey,
You have
Joseph.
that opportunity, man. Appreciate it.
So make the system so that if you want to come to the U.S., you're vetted, and then you can come.
We have
But
that
they
system.
can't.
It's called legal immigration.
Yeah, it's not working very well.
We bring in about 1 million people per year using legal immigration.
Okay. Well, do we need more people?
I think we should probably get our own house in order before we bring in more people. What do you think about that? Do you agree with me?
Yes.
What would your message to people be that don't believe that border security is important? What do you guys think?
Vote Trump.
They need to get their head checked.
All right, everyone, that is it for today. So I think it's pretty clear that California Democrats do not care about illegal immigration, but they do believe that Kamala Harris is the perfect person to handle the border crisis. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe for more videos, and hit that bell notification button so you're notified next time I post. And I'll catch you all in the next video. What do you think? Okay, well said. Thank you for your time.